Hey guys, it's Todd here. So, I recently, just about 3 weeks ago, started reading books as a hobby and not just for something that school requires me to do. Yeah, I am reading a book right now in English class, but I'm talking about outside of that just for fun. I started reading books. So, I wanted to show you guys my book collection, most of it. I'm not going to show some of my fiction books. I probably like five of them I'm not going to show because I haven't read them yet and I'm not sure if I'm going to read them. But I'm going to show you, first of all, what fiction books I got, my nonfiction books, and then I'm also going to do a book review on a book I just read. So I did do a poll that said, hey, would you guys like to see a book review? And for most of the time that it was up, it was like 50-50 in the vote. Right now, 16 votes are in. It said 56% of people said do a book review and 44% said they're not interested. So, overall, the majority rules. I was still probably going to do one even if there was less than 50% of people saying they want a book review. I probably would have done it anyway. So, guess it didn't matter. I just wanted to see how many people were interested. So, yeah, I kind of got a little bit inspired by PewDiePie a little bit to do a book review. So, that's why. So any books that I will show that I have read, I'm not going to go into a detailed explanation. I'm just going to say like, hey, this book is about this, just like a one sentence word. So I'm going to start off with this fiction book I just read. It was actually for English class, but I had it already. It was like my choice type of book that I could choose what book I wanted to read. Like it could be any book in the world. So I chose this. It's actually really good book to read. It's basically about what you see in the title, the German helmet, and how everybody who basically is around this helmet, they just die. Like, kind of this, I'm pretty sure, I didn't make this up, it's somewhere in the book it was described as a curse of the helmet. So, that's that. Another fiction book I have, actually, believe it or not, I have a Minecraft fiction book. I probably got this back in probably like elementary, if I had to assume. I must have read this probably in like 5th or 6th grade. Maybe 7th, possibly, but I've had this for years, I know. And I know I've read it. It is a comic book. As you can see, it's a Minecraft comic book. So that's pretty cool. You can just look right through it. I guess, not to flex on any of y'all, but I got Minecraft books because I also have these Minecraft handy books. Like, this is the Minecraft Construction Handbook. Like, these I'm pretty sure aren't made anymore, and you can't find these. So there's this Minecraft Construction Handbook. There's also the Minecraft Combat Handbook, the Minecraft Redstone Handbook, and also, pretty sure there's no more other than this, but the Minecraft Essential Handbook. I'm pretty sure those are the only 4 books like those that are made. I'm pretty sure there's not a 5th one. But, yeah, not to flex on y'all, but I got Minecraft books. So take that, diehard Minecraft fans. I'm one step ahead of you. So now I'm going to get into the more non-fictional books. So here to start off, I got this one. I haven't read yet. So most of these other ones I haven't read, which I'll tell you guys which one I have read. But yeah, basically everything else I haven't read so far. So Chasing Lincoln's Killer. This is another book I got. Pretty cool. Ready to read it. It's about the guy who killed Lincoln, John Wilkes Booth, or Milk Mustache Man, whatever you want to call him. But before I show any more books, I have this cool bookmark. Give me liberty, as you can see. Let's see, I gotta turn it the right way for the sun not to go on it, but if you move it around, the stars shine. It's a pretty cool bookmark. Alright, back into other stuff. This one's not a book, but I just wanted to show it off. I got this Time magazine from June 14, 2004 about Reagan. Pretty cool. It was literally the cheapest thing I probably have in my room. It's like 15 cents. It was about right after Reagan died. They get like a article on his life. There's probably like 30-ish pages of him. Like not all one article, of course, but like there was one like big story just saying like how like he started off in his life and how he got to where he was when he died. So again, what I'm about to show again is not a book, but I thought it was really cool to show. These papers are from major city in the United States. It's been set in countless movies. I've heard the name of this city a lot of times, but as you can see here, yeah, the Milwaukee Sentinel this is from, I guess. I've heard this name in movies a lot of times. So, pretty famous city, kind of like Orlando, places like that. So I got these papers. It's from this one. This one's from August 9th, 1974. Literally, these papers are almost 50 years old. That it was really cool because I got a bunch of these newspapers for only $2. Like there was like four sections of newspapers for like $4, and there's probably like 100 pages of newspaper-ish of these from 1974. Like all these newspapers were from like a few days before Nixon resigned to the day after he resigned. So here, that one was about Nixon resigned, and then this one is about Ford coming into the presidency. Now, there's a mic bulb. I haven't had time to read all of these. I just started reading some of them last night, and I realized there's a lot of information, so it's going to take me a few days to read through them, but I did start reading through these newspapers last night. Here's another one about Nixon resigning. You know, when I grabbed all the Nixon newspapers that there were at this antique shop when I saw them. So here's another one, as you can see right here. So this one was August 6, 1974, and then this last section of newspapers, there's like kind of subsections, kind of like you can literally take out the papers because they're detached. I think they're like from separate newspapers possibly, or they just broke off, one of the two. But this one's from August 5th, 1974. It's my last one, as you can see here. So there's a lot of information from like a lot of different perspectives and sources through these newspapers. So probably enough to do like a report. If let's see, if I got to do a report on like the final days of Nixon's presidency, like those newspapers would probably be good enough, to be honest. All right, so now that I'm done with the non-book stuff, let's get back to the book. So I just got this book from my local library. Oh, you're gonna be happy because it fits in with the theme of right there. Yep, I'm gonna start reading this either today or within the next few days. The Donald wrote this book. Great again. How to Fix Our Crippled America. Now this was written in 2015 when he was running for president. So this was before every magical thing he did to make the country great again. So I'm gonna read this. It doesn't seem like it'll even take me a week. It seems like the chapters are really short. It looks like there is a total of 17 chapters with acknowledgements, personal finances, and about the author section. So it looks like I can, since these chapters are like 10 pages long each of them, I can probably finish it in 5 days, I'm going to say. I mean, depending on how much I want to read each night. Well, actually, maybe even 4. It just depends on how much I read. Like, my goal is like 50 pages a day with a lot of these books, depending on how long the chapters are, of course. But, yeah. So now, into my other books. This one I have read, All the President's Men, my favorite book of all time now that I read it. So, yeah, as you can see, the pages are kind of coming out. Like, these pages, I've had to tape so many pages in this book because it kept falling apart. I did get it for free because my town has, like, these book stands you can drive around, look at them, and like the community can put books in there and they can take out books. It's kind of like a community trade-off thing. You put books in there you don't want, and then you can take other people's books that they put in there, and that's kind of where I got this book. And not many of my books, most of my books I bought, only like a couple of them I got from the stands, like this one and the one I'll be reviewing after I show these other books. So, by Carl Bernstein, Bob Woodward, the 2 Washington Post reporters that basically cracked the Watergate case. Of course, the book I'm about to review will actually also have to do with Watergate. One of the special prosecutors on it. So, I mean, it wasn't just these 2, but this is like the most famous story about Watergate. So this is an amazing book. Definitely read it. Go right ahead and read it. So now I'll start going through my other books. and I'm not joking when I say this, I have a literal dictionary. It's more like an encyclopedia because of all the stuff in it, but I literally have a dictionary. And a lot of other information that has to do with, like, the United States, like, all the states' information, like, some of these, like, capital size population, stuff like that for every state, from 2012, of course. And then I have information on literally every single country in the world in this book. And then I also have the longest word in the English language. As you can see, this is all one word, this big blob of text. 1,909 letters. Are you kidding me? Like, who needs this? I also have the 2012 calendar. Like, I need that anymore. It's kind of a little obsolete. Information about the planets. Just, you get the idea. It's an encyclopedia more than a dictionary. A dictionary is just one part of this. So you get the idea. Now, another amazing book I have is, well, it's called the United States Constitution and Other American Documents. So this book has, obviously, it has the Constitution, but looking at the table of contents, it also has the amendments to the Constitution, of course, the Declaration of Independence, the Articles of Confederation, and Common Sense by Thomas Paine, which I'm going to probably read soon. It seems to be quite a few pages, actually, but I'm going to have to read that soon because that seemed a little interesting to me. So, another book I have is by Bob Woodward, again, one of the guys who co-authored this book, one of the reporters from the Washington Post. He wrote Bush at War, which was written in the middle of his presidency, so I'm going to learn about the Persian Gulf War that I don't know a lot about, so that's why I got these books, because I want to learn about history. So, yeah, it's going to be fun reading that. So then another book is by George Bush Jr., 41, A Portrait of My Father. It has a nice picture of George Bush. One second. There is a whole page. It's not an actual picture, but it's a nice art drawing depiction of George Bush Sr. So it's obviously going to be about George Bush Sr.'s life and presidency. Another book is Of Kennedys and Kings, Making Sense of the 60s, as you can see here. So this is going to be about John F. Kennedy and also Martin Luther King, as you can see here. So that's going to be interesting. This is not about one person, it's actually about two. So it's like, I'm really looking forward to reading all these books. But anyway, continuing. This is also by George W. Bush. It's called Decision Points. And also, it's kind of a large text type of book. As you can see here, the words are big. So, it is like 700 pages, but the words are big. So it's going to probably feel more like 300 if I had to guess. And then, my last book before I get into my... you can literally see the books piling up right here. I'll move these there. You can still see them, but whatever. Anyway, the last one, which is going to be a really amazing book. An American Life, Ronald Reagan. The Autobiography. Which is going to be really nice seeing that. Did I do that the wrong way? I was looking at the camera. Did I go like this? Whatever. Yeah, so I'm really excited to read this most of all because Reagan's my second favorite president. Everybody knows who my favorite is. But yeah, as you can tell, Reagan is my second favorite right there. So, this is going to be amazing because this has over 700 pages and it's an autobiography, so Reagan really knows what he did in his life. So now finally, the final book I have to show off, the one that I want to do like a mini book review on. It's not going to be a long one. I'm not going to get into much detail, but obviously there's going to be... Well, I'm not going to say spoilers because it's a non-fiction story. If you know anything about Watergate, then, whatever. I mean, it's the Watergate Persecution, The Right into Power by Leon Jaworsky. So this is, as you can probably guess, it's my second favorite book now that I read it. All the President's been my favorite. This one was my second. So yeah, The Persecution of Watergate, it says it right there, as you can see, and I'm going the right way when I'm moving my finger this time. So this is Leon Jaworsky right here in the front cover. He was the second special prosecutor during the Watergate cover-up. So if you don't know, the first one was Archibald Cox, and he was fired, which was called the Saturday Night Massacre. So that was because he was doing a good job, and Nixon didn't like that, so he fired him. Alright, before I get into any further, I just want to make sure that everyone can understand that that was not the only thing that happened during his presidency. Like, one scandal out of the 6 years he was president, I mean, there was probably some other mini scandals that he was involved in that I don't know of, but the Watergate one's really the only one I know of. But, I mean, the men that from the United States landed on the moon during Nixon's presidency, so let's not forget stuff like that, and the 26th Amendment, and just basically everything else he did during his presidency. I just want to say that I just hate how people forget everything that Nixon did because of Watergate, but that could be like a whole separate video I can make of that, but we're going to focus on Watergate now that we're here. So, yeah, this was my other book I got for one of those free book stands. So, he was, and by he, I'm talking about Leon here, he was hired to be the second special prosecutor for the Watergate cover-up. So, he wasn't actually fired, believe it or not. He went all the way through up to Nixon resigning. So there's a lot of different things, like, I don't know if it's St. Clair or what ST dot stands for. Actually, let me search it up online just to make sure I'm not doing anything stupid. Or whatever, I'll just call Mr. Clair, if you want to call him that. So, Mr. Clair was Nixon's personal lawyer throughout the Watergate case, and he was defending Nixon. So, Leon here was trying to get hold of these tapes, because you should all know about the tapes of Watergate, how Nixon bugged his own office, and now the court was saying, and Leon, that, hey, we need these cases in the interest of the public, it's in the interest of the case, we need it for the case to advance our position on the case. And then Mr. Clair was like, he didn't want to give it. He was like making every excuse ever to not give Leon the tapes, because that's what would lead to Nixon's resignation once the tapes were released in the end of the story. So, in the end, obviously, the tapes got out because court basically said, hey, you must give subpoenas of these tapes, transcript them, and then give it to Leon. So then, Leon got it, obviously. In the end, I think there was like 64 tapes that he got a hold of. There's one on June 23rd, 1972, that was 6 days after the Watergate break-in, June 17th, that showed how Nixon knew about the Watergate cover-up and he was participating in it. And there was this 18.5-minute gap on 3 days just before that was found out that his secretary deliberately paused the recording, so we don't actually know what occurred in those 18 minutes. And if Nixon was talking to his advisors about it, so we're never going to know now, but it's possible that he knew it just 3 days after the break-in. And how Ehrlichman, whatever, and then, which was one of his advisors, and then also other people like, for example, John Dean, he was the Treasury executive officer, whatever, for the campaign to re-elect the president, otherwise known as CREEP. Not joking, it's literally just called CREEP. And also other various people who were involved in the Watergate scandal and how they funded the Watergate operation. Basically, a lot of Nixon's administration was a bunch of crooks. A lot of them were crooks, basically. Just a lot of people. So, yeah. That's a main point you should get out of it. It wasn't just Nixon. It was a lot of his administration. Like, not the whole administration, of course, but some of like the main heads, the big ones at the top, really. So, and then there's some other stuff concerning Nixon outside of the Watergate scandal, kind of like how his tax deductions that he illegally made, apparently, but that wasn't the case. It was actually a mistaken paperwork filing and signing all that stuff through some of his aides that were supposed to help him they made a mistake and it was like $400,000 in tax deductions that he illegally made, but that wasn't the case, actually. That was one where Nixon was actually innocent. It was actually somebody else's fault for once. Nixon and some other of his aides also paid the 5 people who broke into the DNC to be quiet in court and not confess and not mention any other names. So they were paid to be quiet in court. That was a big thing there. Also, there was a bunch of other stuff, like, there's just a lot of stuff. Like, you can read the book. It's a lot more than I can just say here. Like, I have, like, over a page-long summary of, like, it's 9-point-sized font on Google Docs, and, like, normal font has, like, 11 or 12-point sized on Google Docs, so it would probably be, like, 2 pages long in those fonts. But just to get a quick overview, just to speed things up a little bit. Then, over time, Leon went to court. Basically, the House and Senate were introducing articles of impeachment. And what Leon went to court for, before I get into the impeachment quickly, was he wanted persecution, subpoenas of the tapes, really. And then he was getting ready to sue the president, but then eventually Nixon resigned, as we all know. Ford stepped in, and then, as Nixon was a private citizen, Leon was combated with the option of sue the president, now that he's a private citizen, or don't sue him. So he chose not to sue him, and the reason was because, for one thing, in the Constitution, it says that citizens get a fair trial, meaning unbiased. And everywhere you looked at the time, the news and just people, whoever you ask, was against Nixon. So it would even be against the Constitution to basically put Nixon in court for everything he's done. And also, he also figured that Nixon's already suffered enough from people getting fired, resigning, and him resigning too. And there was another third option, but those were the main two. And then also, after that, let's see, it was just few months after Nixon resigned, Ford gave Nixon a pardon. And then again, Leon was challenged with the option, does he go against the pardon in court or not? And he said, I'm not going to go against the pardon because there's nothing in the Constitution that says the pardons from the presidents have like a limit of what you can pardon. So, and he just used the Constitution as his very reasonable, like, it's the Constitution. So, to me, that's a very valid excuse to not go against the pardon. And in the end, Nixon didn't get sued. And since he resigned before he could get impeached and kicked out of office, the impeachment didn't go through. So, overall, is a very great book. I recommend reading it. All the President's Men too. Go read that, definitely. This one and All the President's Men are my 2 favorite books that I've read so far. Of course, any other books I could read that I haven't read so far could be my favorite book next. But yeah, I'm more of a nonfiction guy, as you can tell. I only have a few fiction books. I look for more knowledgeable books that I can actually gain knowledge than just reading for it is reading for fun, but when I read for fun, I also like gaining knowledge. So that's why majority of my books are nonfiction, only a few are fiction. So, yeah, now that you know that books are cool, you just gotta find what you like to read. And that's why a lot of kids aren't reading, because when it comes to school, they're always just like, oh, this stupid Romeo and Juliet, it's a terrible book. Which I agree with that statement, because I'm making it right now. It's a terrible, god-awful book. And To Kill a Mockingbird's also a god-awful book. So, books like that are discouraging kids to read, because school's like, oh, look at these books. Oh, To Kill a Mockingbird, Romeo and Juliet. Oh, good books. No, they're god-awful. Like, for one thing, just admit schools. They're god-awful books. I don't like them. But anyway, it's because of reasons like that the kids are like, I hate reading, because schools make them read these books. But you just gotta find the books you like, find the genre you like, find topics you like, and then just start reading for fun. It took me about 2.5 weeks after I started reading to finally say reading, the actual process of reading is the reward. Because when I was reading All the President's Men each day, I was like, all right, I got to get through this chapter, and I was kind of eager to get through it right away. Not because, I was excited to read it, but I kind of wanted to get it just done with and over with each day. That's how I felt. But now, when I was reading this, I was actually just enjoying it, not thinking about the time, how long it's going to take to read it, and that I'm actually just really enjoying it. So, it might take us a couple weeks, but if you find some books you really like, you might get addicted to reading like I am now. So, yeah, I now want to finish a book a week is my goal now. Not start a book, but finish a book a week. All right, there's a difference. I could start a long book 3 weeks ago, read a short book this week, next week, and then the week after that I can finish that long book. So that could be something you guys could try. A book a week. It doesn't have to be a long 300-page book like this one. So go ahead. And also PewDiePie also has, if you search up PewDiePie Book Club, there will be some playlists on YouTube, so go look at that. He did book reviews too. So now I hope you guys enjoy reading and find something you like. Thank you all for watching. Give this video a liking. Go subscribe for much more. Comments I don't ignore. And post notifications.